Welcome to the Divine Quotient podcast. Around here, we go way beyond small talk. We're talking soul to soul with truth, purpose, and what it means to live a spirit led life. I'm Tilde, the creator of the Divine Quotient. Get ready for real stories, deep laughs, and those aha moments that light you up from the inside out. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Divine Quotient podcast. I'm your host, Tilde. I'm also the creator of the Divine Quotient. And today I am going to be talking about why I created the Divine Quotient and why it's, I think, one of the most important things that we can remember for ourselves. Back in 2017, I had this download, what I call a download of how we as humanity we're having an identity crisis. It's what I kept hearing in my spirit. And sure enough, as I looked around me, you could see how people were just not themselves, not in their right mind. And I could see it in the most poverty stricken areas, as well as people driving around in their Porsche or Maserati with the top down. There was just something missing. And I just inquired to know more, like, why is this important? Why is this important right now? And even before that, just to give you a little glimpse as to who I am and why my curiosity has always been sort of divinely inspired. I went through a major spiritual awakening when I was 24, and I had been battling with a lot of PTSD flashbacks that I could not shake. And in my lowest moment, darkest moment, I cried out to God that if He was real, to please help me. And instantaneously, I had what most people would call a miracle. I call it instantaneous healing. I had a Kundalini awakening where I felt like lightning had struck me and I shook violently. I felt the beautiful white, yellow light all around me. And when it ended, I felt lighter. I felt happier. I felt free. And since that day, I've never had another PTSD flashback. And whenever I talk about it, I get emotional because I start to feel that love all over again. Start to feel that power. And not because I'm sad. A lot of people think because I'm sad. No, I'm not sad. I'm reliving that moment of love, of the kind of love that you can't deny. And so for me, that started my awakening back in 1994 and started my own transformation process, because even though those flashbacks weren't there, I still had anger, fear, and shame that I had to work through. And so I did. And I used positive psychology practices, which are now called positive psychology practices. Back then, I just read books, that talked about how much God loved me and how to manage my anger. And I did the work. I started to do the work. I started to do the inner transformative work on myself. So I was able to go from anger, fear, and shame to faith, hope, and love. And still in the process, right? And I really believe that we're all on this journey to remember, and to remember that we never left, that we never left home. So it's always this road back to ourselves. And so in 2017, when I heard that we're having an identity crisis and started to see how a lot of people were still asleep, it really touched me. And I began to be curious as to why I was hearing this message now. And then I got another download, which gave the process of how to come back into alignment, how to live in spirit, mind, body alignment, and how when we're not in that alignment, we are not in peace. We are not at our highest and best self. And in 2018, I sold everything and followed my spirit and just learned to surrender and trust, because that's what I felt called to do. I ended up doing a TEDx talk about this experience and this download that I had called the talk was entitled "The New IQ" because back then it the Divine Quotient wasn't born yet, right? And so I gave the TEDx talk and I set out on my journey, sold everything and just surrendered and trusted, learned how to surrender and trust over and over and over again by dismantling, unlearning all the programs and as many programs as I have up until this point, to where I was talking about living in alignment. I ended up a big portion of that time in Europe, speaking and teaching women entrepreneurs in that area of the world, and then find myself coming back here to the U.S. to Dallas to continue that work, but to expand it hopefully in a way that I think is much needed now. And so the divine quotient for me is born out of love. It is my purpose to do this. And I really think that the only purpose we all have is to really love, is just to love, and then create from that place of alignment, from love, from the divine, because that's the only thing that's really real. Anything else that we make because we think we need it, that's from a place of lack. When you create from a place of love, it's abundant. There's an endless resource of it. There's endless ingenuity. There's endless innovation. There's endless potential, right? And so that's the kind of power, that's the kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. In the age of AI and innovation and all of these changes and transition, we need something. We need to remember where to anchor ourselves. Where can I find my peace? Where can I find my certainty? And there's only one place, and that is divine alignment. When the world is going into crisis and chaos, you can remain at peace. You can remain at peace. You can remain in contentment. But the only way to do that is to remember that you are more than just this physical body. You are an eternal spirit. You are a divine being having a human experience. Now, does that negate any pain and suffering? No, we came actually to remember how to be both human and divine. And so we came for the complete experience of being human, but being able to navigate that, to master the situations, to master the pain and suffering, to be able to use that to help us learn and grow and evolve and to love more deeply instead of building walls, instead of making people our enemies, instead of choosing unforgiveness. Forgiveness for me has been one of the most powerful tools that I use in my own life, because forgiveness always brings me back to peace. Always brings me back to peace. And so forgiveness for me, I call it my portal back to my sanity, right? Because when we're in unforgiveness, We just create our own misery. And we can do that. We have a choice to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But we are choosing to be in this unforgiveness, which can cause a lot of dissatisfaction and unease in our life. And then when we do forgive, we're liberated. And so for me, forgiveness has been this beautiful portal to be able to master forgiveness so that I can find my way back to peace. And once I find my way back to peace, into that alignment, then I can find my way back to joy and love. But the first thing that I learned in this game, this divine quotient alignment, is the fact that I am the creator of my own reality. The way that I see my life, the way that I see myself, I then project out onto others. And so when I was in anger, fear, and shame, or when I thought God was judging me, I was judging other people harshly. But when I accepted God's love, the divine's love for me completely, and allowed myself to be showered with it, and actually prayed, God, help me see the world and people the way that you do. I had to be radically honest with myself in that the way God saw me is not the way that I saw other people either. And so then I had to forgive myself. And so this beautiful dance with the divine of going in and out of alignment then really helped me to know, have a sense of when I'm not in alignment. When I'm not in alignment, there's a lot of fear. There can be shame, there can be guilt, there can be unworthiness. But when I'm in alignment with love, I'm powerful, I'm confident, I'm certain, right? And the truth is that we're never out of this connection. The connection is always there. We just have to remember our way back. And so there's tools and practices that I share with people that help myself and help them to be able to know how to navigate ourselves back into alignment. And the most crucial part is our emotions. Our emotions are not bad, they're information. And if we can start to use our emotions as merely information as to how we're thinking and help us change our thinking if we're not feeling comfortable or in pain and suffering and in fear, anxiety, to be able to just to use it as information, not to judge ourselves, but to give ourselves grace, actually, to allow ourselves to feel uncomfortable and to ask why, to kind of pull back a little bit and ask, why am I feeling this way? Divine alignment requires us to become very self aware, self control, right? The first step is to harness ourselves, to control ourselves, to harness our emotions. What does that mean? It means to become aware of, I'm feeling anxiety. Why am I feeling anxiety? To get curious. There's no judgment, there's no blame, there's no guilt. It's just why? Why do I feel this way? That's a powerful place to be, to where you're not allowing your emotions to run away with you. So the first key to divine alignment is the harnessing. It's the self-awareness piece. The divine quotient really is all about love and about living from that place of love, loving myself so that I can love other people and create from this place of love and abundance, not from lack. Because if I need to create something, that means that I'm saying something is missing. Nothing is missing. I want to create simply for the joy of creating. I want to love simply for the joy of loving. If someone or something doesn't react to that love, that's okay. It's just information. And so divine alignment really helped me to stay in what I call my circle of love, power, joy, to where I'm just being me in alignment. I'm being love. I'm giving love. I don't expect anything in return. And I don't take anything personally. It's just information. The world outside of me is giving me back information that I need to navigate my own way, the discernment that I need of whether or not I should stay or go. Everything is energy, right? And so the more information that I can take in, the more information that helps me determine who do I want to be in this instance? How can I be love in this instance, in the circumstances that I find myself in? So it requires us just to slow down. Why is this important right now? With AI, with layoffs, with everything that's happening in our world, the war, news, we have to be discerning. And we have to stop looking for answers outside of ourselves, because the answers aren't out there. They're in here. They're in me. The God in you, the Christ in you, the Holy Spirit in you. It's not out there. It is in you and me. And when I find that alignment in me, I will see it in you. I will recognize your goodness, your holiness, your beauty. I won't have to blame you or judge you. I won't have to make myself a victim. I will simply ask, what is it that I'm being called to be in this moment? And be okay with if I'm the only one that's sticking out like a sore thumb. If I'm the only one that's saying something different that hasn't been said, then I'm saying it. So the divine quotient asks us to live from this place of alignment, which is authenticity. It asks us to remove the layers of programming, to unlearn everything that keeps us from shining brightly, from loving unconditionally. Because there's only two choices: love or fear. That's it. Every thought that you hold captive is either from love or fear. And the sooner that we learn how to harness our emotions, the sooner that we can live life to the fullest. It doesn't mean it's perfect. It means that we can navigate our way from those difficult emotions, to learn how to manage those emotions, to find our way back to peace, back to joy, back to love in every instance. It's important now because 75 to 90% of people that go to the doctor in the Western world are sick because of their psychological or emotional states. And then they're feeling sick because of the choices that they're making in their life that are causing them to be sick. That means they're allowing their emotions to run them. They're not aware. Think about that. 75 to 90% of all the people in the Western world that are going to the doctor right now, it's because of psychological or emotional unawareness. and it's causing them to feel sick. That is why this is important right now. The divine quotient teaches you how to live in spirit, mind, body alignment, how to live your spirit led, leading your mind, taking control of your mind and your thoughts, then your mind feeding your body the information in how to act, how to show up, how to resonate. And sometimes there's got to be healing involved because we're holding on too much to the past or looking too far into the future, where really change can only happen in the present. We can only live in the present. Yesterday doesn't even exist, neither does the future. And so if you're wondering why you're feeling the way that you're feeling and you can't seem to feel better, when is the last time you actually nurtured your spirit? When is the last time you did something that fed your soul, that made you feel like you were living in alignment, in total peace? When I say in alignment, I mean total peace. When's the last time you did that for yourself? Or have you been too busy? We get too caught up in the outer world. We forget about our inner world. And actually, our inner world is what creates our outer world and the capacity that we have to enjoy it. So I'm here to remind you to live life to the fullest, to make time for yourself, that divine part of yourself, to be in alignment with that, because that's where true love, true peace, joy, creativity, innovation. You will never build enough AI databases or semiconductor facilities. They'll never have enough of those facilities to hold the amount of information that you and I collectively and all of humanity holds. Never. Never. To think that AI will be smarter than us collectively is just ridiculous, in my opinion. It will not, because it can't. We are infinite. And while by myself I can't do much, but together, the more people that I can touch, that I can awaken and remember, help to remember who and what you are, to live from this place of alignment, the more peace we create in the world, the more harmony we create in the world, the more love we can create in the world. And it might sound hokey to a lot of you, but it's not. It's the truth. It's the absolute truth. We can make an impact by simply being love. I can make impact by simply sitting here, not saying a word, but by being in peace, being in love. I make a difference. And so can you. The people that I'm going to be interviewing on this podcast know that to be true as well. They are being loved. They are living from a place of alignment. They are loving all of creation, and they are creating from that place of love. They're not making anymore. Transcended, the material stuff, and know that, yeah, those things are nice, but you can have all the money in the world and be miserable. And you can be as in poverty and homeless and be one of the happiest individuals in the world. Why? Because you know your worth. You know where your happiness comes from. You are living from a place of alignment. And that's what we need right now. More than anything, I truly believe that. To remember how to nurture our souls, how to live with the divine in me and in you. So remember that. You get healthier, your immunity actually increases the more in alignment that you are because you're more grateful. You're grateful for everything. So, everybody that I'm going to be interviewing on this podcast is going to be doing and extending love in their own unique ways. And they found it in their own unique way. So, you're going to be hearing stories of inspiration, wisdom gained through some trials and tribulations. And I hope that you join me. I hope that it inspires you. I hope that you get nuggets of wisdom for yourself and that you really make the time to nurture your own soul because you are worth it. You deserve it. And I pray that if you haven't forgiven, that you learn how to do that for yourself because then you can extend it to everyone. I love you and God loves you. I hope you have an amazing day and I hope you join me on these future Divine Quotient podcasts. We're going to have fun, we're going to laugh because life is meant to be enjoyed and not taken so seriously, even in the midst of crisis and chaos, or what may seem to be crisis and chaos. See you next time.